Well, hello, whiskey neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor, and today I want to talk to you about a rye. This is Woodford Reserve Straight Rye. Well, thanks for joining me. It's a little cold outside, so I turned on the fireplace. I wish it was actually something with wood, but it'll do. And I want to talk to you today about rye. If you follow the channel at all, you know that I enjoy rye. I try to appreciate different styles of rye, high rye, low rye whiskey, and I actually was really looking forward to this. And we'll see what my thoughts are today. But this is Woodford Reserve. It's a straight rye. I believe straight toward rye has the same legal kind of definition as straight toward bourbon. So that means it's aged a minimum of 4 years. There's no additives or coloring or anything in this. It's a rye, so in the US it has to be 51% rye or more. My understanding is this one here is 53% rye, then mostly corn with about 14% barley. I think that's right. We should look that up. This, just so in case you're looking on a shelf, this one is batch 70. Well, bottle you wouldn't have the same one, 809. And Chris Morris, the master distiller. It's bottled at 45.2% or 90.4% proof. Sorry. Not sure what else I can tell you about this Brown-Forman product. Of course, they make Woodford Reserve Bourbon and the Double Oak are part of their standard release, and then they have Masters releases and other special releases. But this is their straight rye. So let's talk about it. So the nose. You know, when I am nosing this, I actually expected a bit more from it. I can get actually mostly bourbon notes. Like I got some caramel, the sweetness of caramel toward honey. If there's a fruit, it's a lighter fruit than I'd expect from a rye. This is If you think cherry, it's got to be like a sweet, like a maraschino, like a sweet cherry. To me, it's almost more pear sweetness, like a very ripe pear, and a little bit of alcohol. Let's give it a taste. Sorry, I should talk. Up front, it's going to taste very much like a bourbon, a spicy bourbon. Right away, again, the toffee, the caramel, a little bit of fruit. Fruit's not forward on this one, so mostly oak throughout. Oak in the sense of a little bit of woody taste, but then also a little bit of that cask bitter, wood bitter going on. On the mouthfeel, a little bit coating, kind of midway, so it's not super drying, but it's got a little bit going on. The early finish is oaky. The later, like when you just keep talking as I have been now for a little bit, that's when I'm getting some of the rye notes that I was expecting. Now I can get a bit of mint, a bit of maybe spearmint, a little bit of grass, a little bit of dill. Now coming back into the nose, and often it's good to have a couple of sips of whiskey and then get back in the nose. I'm not sure if it's because it's filled your palate or what, but yeah, now there's a little more buttery toffee, buttered corn. And that was a more enjoyable sip. The palate was long, sweet, finally a little more spice, buttery, butter popcorn, and finally some mint coming around. So it got there. I thought I was really going to like this rye. And for my palate, for some reason, it's not as a lot. Now, it gets better with a couple of significant sips. Then it starts to evolve. Then it starts to come to its own. I would still say that this straight rye, yep, just this regular release straight rye, 45%, is far closer to bourbon than a lot of the rye that we're having nowadays. You know, a lot of rye today is far spicier and bolder. So if you enjoy bourbon and you'd like to try a little more, and the finish now is definitely rye. Like now it's alternating between the kind of that wood bitter, but the spice in the mouth, and green grass, dill, a little bit of mint, that kind of thing. So it took a while to say, hey, I'm a rye, but it is a rye. And actually, there might be many out there that really enjoy this. You know, many episodes ago when I was talking about, you know, what I do when I go into a store, one of the things that I do is you know, we all have smartphones, and I use the Distiller app to kind of like, oh, if I've never tried that before, what's the rating? And I think the Distiller rating for this is like 94 points. Good for them. And I often can agree with them, but for me, maybe because I like a far bolder rye, this one just didn't light up for me. And you know, when I look at whiskeys and I rate them on that 5-point scale that I usually do, for me this is only about 3.5 stars. And that's quite a ways off from the Distiller mark of 94 points. So clearly taste is always in the person holding the glass, and I really can't tell you whether you'll like it or not. But for me, this stands out as a rye forward bourbon more than a really true rye experience. And I thought I would taste it against a rye that I do like. This is Sazerac rye. It's a straight rye as well. This one's bottled at 45%, so 45.2. They should be very similar. I don't know the mash bill on this. I've seen it in print on websites at 51% rye, but I don't know that for sure. You know, the Woodford, the brown form, and they release that this is 53, so that's nice. This, I don't know what it is. But it's also straight, so it's also a minimum of 4, and you know, no coloring and all of those good things. So let's give it a taste just in comparison. Juicier, fresher, redder, so a deep red cherry. Pepper's going to come up quick. It's going to be spicy, but the spice is balanced with that engaging full fruit nature. Now, it's thinner, absolutely. And less butter popcorn, less... little more clove. I get a bit more clove. A lot more spice. So when I'm pouring rye, this is more the profile that I'm going to. So I obviously like the Sazerac much better. The Woodford Reserve straight rye, it's not a bad rye. It's just... It I think would appeal to those that really like bourbons more than rye. It had more layers probably than the Sazerac, now that I'm letting that evolve in my mouth. But I'm still, for me, This Woodford Reserve, it's about 3.5. So thanks for joining me here against my almost fireplace. You guys take care, and I hope you're staying warm and enjoying some good whiskey on this winter night. Take care.